Okay, good good day everyone. We are now on the quadratic equations in one variable. Okay. We have here an equation that can be written of this form: ax squared plus bx plus c is equal to 0, where a, b, and c are real numbers and n is not equal to 0 and a is not equal to 0. Then we could have these quadratic equations. Now, in solving quadratic equations, actually, we have four methods. Okay? 1, by factoring method. 2, by extracting the square roots. 3, by completing the square. 4, by using the quadratic formula. Okay, so there are, again, we have four methods in solving quadratic equations. First, let us introduce to you the first method that we have, by factoring method. Now, it says here that if R and S are real numbers, then RS, or the product of RS, is equal to 0 if and only if R is equal to 0 or S is equal to 0. Okay? So, meaning to say, kung factoring gali, you need to factor the left side of the equation. Okay? First, okay, wala mo gud siya gisulat diri, no? Actually, in solving quadratic equations by factoring method, you need to consider some steps. Okay. First step is you need to write the quadratic equation to its standard form. Meaning to say, dapat inaani yung gitsura. The right side of the equation is equal to 0. And the rest would be written on the left side of the equation. Okay, mauna siya. Second is, you need to factor the left side of the equation. Factor daw na to. Factor na to ang left side sa equation. Then third, set each factors to 0. Okay. From that, solve the value of the variable. Okay. So let us consider our examples here. Okay. Example 1, you are given x squared. Number 1, you have x squared plus 3x plus 2 is equal to 0. So this is it. Okay? Now, mamaya itong first example. Okay. Now, what we're going to do here, this is already in standard form, no? Because we have some steps. Step 1, unsa itong step 1? Write the equation to its standard form. Okay. Sulat doon nato to its standard form. Meaning, 0 na iyang right side. So, step 2, factor the left side of the equation. Okay. Factor doon nato the left side of the equation. Then, number 3, when you already get the factors, set each factors to 0. Then, step 4, solve. Okay? Muna siya itong mga steps. Write the equation to its standard form. Meaning to say, 0 ang right side sa equation. So, kato siya. Kani siya nga equation. Dapat inani og porma. No? 0 ang right side. Then, number 2, factor the left side of the equation. 3, set each factors to 0. Then 4, solve. So, let's go back to our first example. Okay. You are given x squared plus 3x plus 2 is equal to 0. So, this is already in its standard form. Kaya naman, 0 naman sa right side. So, next is, we need to factor the left side. Okay, factoring man ta. So, trial and error, we need to look at the last term, which is 2. What are the factors of 2? 2 and 1. So, we could have x plus 1 times x plus 2 is equal to 0. So, na-factor na nato. Next is, unsa gito, set each factors to 0. So, you have x plus 1 is equal to 0 and x plus 2 is equal to 0. So, solve. So, x transpose positive 1 to the right side. So, that becomes negative 1. Then, x plus transpose positive 2 to the right side. So, that becomes negative 2. So that that's are the values of your x. So now we have solved the quadratic equations. Okay? By factoring. Okay. So let's move on to the next example. Okay. X squared plus 3x minus 10 is equal to 0. So you have example number 2, x squared plus 3x minus 10 is equal to 0. So again, this is already in standard form. What you're going to do is to directly factor the left side of the equation. So kani daw siya diring left side sa equation, ato na siyang i-factor. So look at the last term, negative 10. So there are two factors of negative 10, no? So since negative 10 man ni siya, then positive 3, unsa ka atong factor? So we can factor this directly as x minus 5 plus 5 x minus 2 is equal to 0. So muna yung factors because 5 times negative 2 is negative 10. 5 minus 2 is positive 3. So now we need to set each factor to 0. So x plus 5 is equal to 0. Then x minus 2 is equal to 0. Then we need to solve. X is equal to negative 5. Then x is equal to 2. No? So here's at example 1, our solution set. Negative 1, negative 2, and negative 1. Then here, our solution set. Negative 5 and positive 2. So klaro, class? Okay. Now let's move on to our third example. Saan na itong third example? Klaro ba na ito? Our third example is 1 plus 5x over 6 is equal to 2x squared over 3. So, mao ni siya atong third example. No? You have 1 plus 5x over 6 is equal to 2x squared over 3. So, since we have fractions here, what we're going to do para makuan na siya, wala na siya mga denominator, we will multiply both sides by the LCD. So, we multiply both sides by LCD. So, unsa tong LCD? So, klaro kay nga 6. So, you have 1 plus 5x over 6 is equal to 2x squared over 3. So, we multiply that one by 6. So, klaro naman kaayo. So, you have 6. 6 times 1 here is you have 6. 6 times 5 of 5x over 6 is 5x na lang din siya. Is equal to 6 divide 3. 2. So, 2 times 2x squared. So, padayon. You have 6 plus 5x is equal to 2 times 2, you have 4x squared. So, is this already in standard form? No. Kay dapat, ang isa ka side must be equal to 0. Now, since the numerical coefficient 4 here is already positive, kaning duwa din atong ibalin dito sa right side. So, you have 0 is equal to 4x squared minus 5x minus 6. Or we could rewrite this as 4x squared minus 5x minus 6 is equal to 0. The same na sila. Then from here, we can now find the factors, no? Unsa kay possible factors ani niya? So you need to go for a trial and error method. So unsa ka? You have 2x times 2x minus 3 plus 2. So you have 4x. Di man pod ay 8x. Ito mo siya 4x, negative 6 dili. So unsa ka atong pwede gamiton? We have 4x times trial and error man ta. X minus 2 what else? Minus 3, 12. Di man siya. Minus 2, 8. Plus 3. Okay. So, by trial and error, we obtain that we have 4x plus 3x minus 2 is equal to 0. No? So this is the factor of the left side of the equation. So we set each factors to 0. For x plus 3 is equal to 0 and x minus 2 is equal to 0. Then solve. For x, we transpose positive 3 to the right side, so that becomes negative 3. So from here, we divide both sides by 4. So x is equal to negative 3 over 4. So kana, we simply transpose negative 2 to the right side. So x is equal to 2. So our solution set are negative 3/4 and 2. Okay? Kuha na to. Okay. Let's move on to example number 4. What's to example number 4 dito? You have 3x over x plus 2 is equal to x plus 4 over x. So in this particular example, class, kana, to solve this directly, do the cross multiplication. Meaning to say, multiply ninyo si 3x og x, kani po siya x plus 2 og x plus 4. So you have now 3x times x, you have 3x squared is equal to x plus 4 times x plus 2. So mo na ang hitabo. You do the cross multiplication. So what's next? Solve. 3x squared is equal to, okay, solve this one. You have x squared plus 6x plus 8. Are we correct? X squared plus 6x plus 8. Then, all these terms here will be transferred to the left side. No? Transpose ninyo. So, you have now 3x squared. Si x squared, mamahimong minus. Minus x squared minus 6x minus 8 is equal to 0. So, 0 na iyang right side. So, what is 3 minus 1? So, 2. 2x squared minus 6x minus 8 is equal to 0. Now, we are now on its standard form. So, what we're going to do now is to what? Factor. So, trial and error dyan punta 2x. Mangita taog ka factor niya x. Minus 4 plus 2. No? So, you have here, the factors of the left side are 2x plus 2, then x minus 4 is equal to 0. So, nalatay factor, set each factors to 0. 2x plus 2 is equal to 0. X minus 4 is equal to 0. Okay? So, solve. 2x, transpose 2 to the right side, that becomes negative 2. Divide both sides by 2. So, x is equal to negative 1 because 2 divide 2 is 1 times negative, so negative 1. Then, kani dining isa, simply transpose negative 4 to the right side, so x is equal to 4. So, our solution set are negative 1 and 4. Okay, this is for the factoring method in solving the quadratic equations. So that's all for this afternoon. Next na to is on how to solve quadratic equations by extracting the square root. Okay, so next na nato. Okay, thank you for listening. I'll be giving you an example later.